Apple embraces the Pixel look, and Google decides that weather is not available on your Pixel camera or a Pixel watch. You know what? We're going to get talking about it, and we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff right now.
How are you going to know if it's sunny or rainy?
Well, we'll get to, you know what? We'll get to the whole watch thing. It may not be quite as devastating as I made it sound, but stick around because it is interesting. There's good news. It may be bad news if you really like that app on your watch, but you're still going to get weather, and we'll tell you all about that. We're going to tell you a bunch of things. Before we do, I am Lionel. I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Robert from Nashville, Tennessee, Music City.
Yeah, Music City.
So don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, the bell icon, because you always say I forget the bell icon. And
yes,
so,
you know, we don't want anybody to forget the bell icon.
That's right. We
get notified of when we have new content.
That's right.
And don't forget to check out all of our shorts. But don't skip the long form, but check out our shorts. We'll get to that later, and we'll tell you all about what we use to make our shorts.
Lionel's dad's a superhero now.
yeah, that's right. And we'll tell you all about that in a little bit. So everybody knows, oh God, you know what? Normally we keep our main topic until later, but everyone's going to be looking at this going, oh, tell us about the Apple. But you already looked at it and you already know. But you want to know our thoughts about Apple, being two avid Android fanboys. First of all, I'm not going to lie to you. I really, I swear to you, I think they did a great job on the look, specifically the Pro models. I have always liked the look of that phone ever since I owned one. Oh, sorry, that was a Pixel 3 XL. All jokes aside, it's a good looking phone. But is it a bad thing that they kind of sort of copied the idea? Well, no. Google copied the iPhone design, and their sales have gone through the roof. That's actually a topic that we're going to discuss too. Maybe we should get into that before we get into the Apple stuff.
I don't think it's copying. I think it's imitation, or imitation is not the right word. Inspiration.
It is inspiration. It's in this particular, in Google's case, it was flat out copy, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because they knew that they did want to. They're not, and I've said this. We've been saying this since the beginning of the podcast. Google is not fighting with Samsung. Google is not trying to take customers from Samsung, nor is Samsung trying to take customers from Google. First of all, Google's not a big enough in the market for Samsung to be like, oh, we got to take their customers. They want Apple customers. And Google wants Apple customers. Samsung's successful. Google wants them to be successful because it's their software they're using. So where do they go? Apple, right? And it turns out that most of new Pixel users are from Apple. So it's working. And it's worked best with the Pixel 9 series because they made it look very similar and feel very similar. And they changed the software. And I can tell you right now, too, the new Material 3 Expressive, very, very smooth, easy to use, much nicer looking. And it is kind of Apple-esque, except, of course, lots of customizations.
I wonder when iOS 26 is rolling out public. Because I've been really kind of waiting for, I have this little iPhone over here. It's not like...
Which iPhone is it?
It's the 12 mini, but remember we talked about it, that it's got the... It's going to get it. 26? Yeah, it is. We looked at it. Yeah,
there'll be limitations, of course, but you'll get the look. You'll get the glass, or whatever they call it.
Yeah. So I've been, up until now, it's been in beta, which I didn't sign up for beta, so I don't, I didn't get the beta.
Well, the phone is released. It's in pre-order still technically, so I believe it comes out in a couple of days or something like that. After that, Apple will most likely release because Apple's not like Google or Samsung. When they put out their software, it's like everybody within a few days gets it.
Yeah.
It's like 2 weeks tops.
Well, maybe my next podcast
it's
I'll have it, and I can see how it's like, because I'm really
nice.
curious.
Like my iPad will not get it because it's the thing's too old. It won't get it.
Yeah, all the guys at the office, they have iPhones, and they all downloaded the beta, and they all seem to really like it. I haven't really messed around with it, so I don't know.
Well, you know what, there are some things about it, and we can get into that a little bit more. Well, maybe we'll just talk about it right now. What the hell, we just started. Yeah, the new phones, a lot of them have a lot of features that are great. Listen, I don't want to lose any viewers, so take this with a grain of salt. Don't expect a lot of great AI happening on these phones. This is not what you're buying them for. Last year's fiasco never worked out, and it's not like they've given up. They've just conceded that this is not how to market when you don't have the stuff. If you don't have the potatoes, you don't offer the French fries. So it's
well, and I'm pretty sure they're still in talks with Google to incorporate Gemini. So
yeah, and ChatGPT is already on board, right? But I think they need Gemini for some other stuff, because I think ChatGPT, they can't really incorporate it into Siri the same way they could with Gemini. I think Gemini has abilities that ChatGPT does not have.
Yeah,
and that must be a lot of what they need it for. The internal stuff is probably it, mainly getting Siri to do things on your device and control everything else in your home. With ChatGPT, I don't know that they have the same. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it can, but I'm guessing that Google would, Gemini rather would play a much bigger part in that, because it's something that Google's been working on. And honestly, while they still have room for improvement and they're still improving, Gemini works way better in my home automation stuff and than who ever did.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's crazy, because before they started deprecating it, which they have quite some time, there was a time when we talked about how great it was, but there was always a little something here and there that it didn't do perfectly,
Yeah.
Or it was a little slow. You'd give it a command, and do you remember the first time you got Gemini to do something, even though it needed the other thing to do it? It would take basically you would command Gemini would then command the assistant, and then your light would turn on, or your TV or whatever. There was always like 3, 4, 5 seconds before it would happen. And then the first time I did it with Gemini, it was like, hey, who, turn on the bedroom light, bang. And then like 2 seconds later, okay, I'm turning on the light. Yeah, no shit, you already did. It was shocking.
Yeah, but I still have delays here though sometimes.
But that's because you have 17,000 lights in each room.
That doesn't make any difference if I tell it turn on the kitchen lights. There's 6 lights in the kitchen. Turn on 6 lights, and sometimes it'll sit there.
You're lying. You got 400 lights in the kitchen, don't you?
It'll sit there and think and think and think, and I look at it, I'm like, and then sometimes it doesn't do it, and then I'm like, gotta say it again, and then finally it'll do it. So
yeah,
I'm still having issues.
I think that's still remnants of it actually having to talk to assistant for some reason, because there's still glitches where it already has the ability to do it without assistant, but I think every now and then it still backs into assistant for some reason. Because I've noticed that happens sometimes too. Like anytime anything comes on right away, I know it's working properly. Whenever it takes a while, I just feel that it's still backing into assistant. I think the only way to stop that behavior is to get rid of assistant entirely. Because for me, and I can't say this for everybody, obviously, everybody's got different stuff set up. But for me, every single thing that I ever wanted assistant to do, Gemini does natively now. It doesn't need assistant for anything I need. The TVs, the lights, anything else. If I had a doorbell, it doesn't need assistant anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would say we get rid of it altogether. Assistants. Trash.
Oh, that is some news, by the way. I should have put that in the show notes, but I forgot. They have actually made the announcement that it's coming soon, finally. So we're not looking at the end of the year. I think we're looking at in the next month or so. Again, this
what that they're eliminating that they're eliminating
suddenly your you know what little puck things will suddenly be updated. Now keep in mind that in the case of the little puck thing, and of course I just don't want to say it out loud because my microphone's not on it. I don't care. I forgot I muted it because it was pissing me off. The Nest Mini Gen 2 will get it. Gen 1 I believe doesn't. It will not for whatever reason. It's too old, whatever. And it's weird because Gen 1 lasted a year and a half before they came out with Gen 2. They look exactly the same. I had the Gen 1, I sold it. I still don't know why, because at the time there was no difference between the two. But anyways, the larger one that looked like an air freshener, apparently that will update because there was never a second gen. And it apparently the capabilities are more. That's what they claim. I mean, I'll plug it back in and find out once they send the update.
I've got one that I still use.
I'll put it back out here. What's that?
I've got one that I still use, so I'll find out. When is that supposed to go live?
What?
When is it supposed to update all happen?
They didn't give a date, but I believe that they did mention that this was something that they said was coming soon now. So it's no longer a by the end of the year thing. But let's keep in mind, though, it still could be by the end of the year. Yeah, it could still be by the end of the year. But I'm hoping it's before October, just because I don't want to have to go into winter with an assistant.
Yeah.
Having said that, speaking of assistant, well, not that it's speaking of assistant, that's the worst segue I've ever done. The Pixel Watch thing that I mentioned. Google, not Gemini, is actually not going to offer the weather app on Wear OS 6. If you have it installed, it will still work. You'll never get another update for it again. It won't stop working. You just never get another update. And eventually you'll want to get rid of it because no updates, blah, 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 whatever, right? But there's a reason why. And that's because virtually every manufacturer has their own weather app, and most people usually prefer it. Does this mean Pixel's not going to have weather because they don't have a native weather app? No, because they've announced the Pixel weather app, which probably looks a little bit the same. Well, I saw some screenshots. It looks very similar. It's the same design language, but Material 3 full expressive in it. So obviously all of the Pixel watches will be updated with this. And if you don't have a Pixel watch, you will have to either go with a third party or whatever natively comes with your watch. For instance, yours is probably not the weather app from Google. You probably use Samsung Weather, right?
I don't know what it gets its weather from. I think it gets it from weather.com. But yeah, it's
is it
whatever
native to the watch?
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Pixel weather app that probably gets theirs from. I think they get it from weather.com. But it's just
I don't know who the manufacturer is. I don't know who if it's a Samsung app. I've never paid attention to it, honestly.
Well, it probably is. It's just they would aggregate the weather from somewhere else. They don't have their own weather station.
Well, right.
So the bottom line is that the weather app originally was meant for anybody with any Wear OS, watch. But now they've decided that the Pixel watch should have its own, and they have no reason to take the others because most people didn't have Pixels, weren't using it. So
interesting.
There you go. And I personally like almost anything that comes off, for Pixel and Google apps and whatnot. And judging by the screenshots, it looks very much similar, but just a little more information seems to fit in that tiny little screen. So I think, again, much like what they've done with Android 16 and Material Expressive, I think they've done a really good job of it. So It's not bad news really at all, unless you really are in love with that weather app and don't want to change it. But there's a lot of people that swear up and down by some third-party weather apps. So go nuts.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be people that's going to complain. There always is. But, again, it's there's so many options out there. Like you said, it's like, it's crazy. The opportunities you have of installing something else to use. So not a big deal.
And I just want to, before we go on any further, because we were talking about the watch, Google Maps on Wear OS now auto launches when you start navigation, cycling or walking or if you're running, but if you start a navigation on Google Maps, so of course as soon as I found out about it, I immediately went to test it, and it's instant. It's not like there's some delay or you don't even get like these weird vibrations or nothing to disturb what you're doing. You just basically open your phone and go, okay, I need to get to 123 Bedrock Lane, whatever. And you press start, put your phone away in the whatever holder, pocket, whatever you're doing, and your watch is right there. So all you got to do is turn around and look at your watch. Not turn around, but you know what I mean. You're walking down the street and you go, oh yeah, okay, I got to go a little bit further and turn left, whatever.
And for those of you who might be too young enough to remember, Bedrock is a play on Fred Flintstone and the Flintstones.
Young people know about the Flintstones.
I don't know. I don't see that cartoon anymore, so I don't know if it's playing or not, to be honest with you.
Hey man, meet the Flintstones. You're the modern Stone Age family.
Meet the Flintstones.
Yeah, that's not quite the tune, but we won't go there either.
No, I'm not a tune carrier. But listen, we're talking about the iPhone, and we kind of glazed over some of the hardware things because we were talking about it, and then we kind of moved on because we got to talk about cameras or something.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to that real quick because I think there's a lot of people confused as to why the camera bump is now a camera bump like it is. And this is one of the significant changes I think they made that's actually a really good change, is that one, it's a bigger battery, but two, they have the vapor chamber that runs the whole center of the phone now for additional cooling. So they took the chip and they took the millimeter wave antenna and the other antennas, and they put everything up top to make room for the bigger battery and the vapor chamber. So
just to make this clear, it's the same thing Samsung and Google did a few years ago.
Yes.
Go on.
But that's why they did that. People I think a lot of people I've seen, think it's just all camera stuff, but it's not. It's like not. The guts of the phone are actually at the top now.
But it's partially that though, because it does give more room for a lens, and it gives more room for a lens to be further from the sensor to offer more light onto the sensor and actually give you a better focal length. So that's why they have an 8x
I mean, there's
lens.
other benefits to it, yes, for sure. But there's multiple reasons. It's not just one. And, a lot of people are like wondering, even why they're going back to aluminum, and it's a unibody aluminum frame. And it's because of their thermal testing with that vapor chamber, it dissipates heat much better. And because a lot of people are complaining that these other, phones are getting too hot. So consequently, they wanted to have better. So, I mean, I get it. Now, whether that's actually true or not, I don't know. There's a lot of people that seem to think that they aren't, it's not going to work.
What's the pixel made out of on the edge?
I don't know. You're rubbing it like you're. I won't say, but
is it not aluminum? It's not steel, and they'd never put titanium on their phones.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't. What's your point? I don't understand your point.
Google has, again, we were talking about copying or being inspired by. Google has stayed with aluminum when everyone else was going, I need some titanium.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
their phones, and if you noticed, 2 years in a row, the Pro XL versions of Google's phones and the Pro version, because it's smaller, are the strongest phones on the market, according to Jerry Rig Everything. So, however, I do think that the iPhone might actually win that category with the unibody design. I don't know how well that's going to go over, especially when it comes to repairs. Because you won't have any back access. You have to pull everything apart to get in at the back of anything. But then again, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I actually think it's smart. I mean, people are all bent out of shape because
Rig to tell us.
They're like, oh, 2 years ago they went crazy because of the titanium, and now they're going back to aluminum. And I think it's a smart move. Honestly, it's titanium is cheaper. It's more available. Aluminum is cheaper. It's more available. Yeah. It's lighter. It's better heat dissipation.
And it's strong as hell. It's strong as hell. Titanium. That was a marketing gimmick. It's a marketing gimmick. Have you ever seen anybody decide to go up the river in a titanium canoe? There's a reason why they started building canoes out of aluminum, because it was actually cheaper than freaking wood at the time, and they were strong and they didn't rip apart when you hit the bottom. It happens.
I don't see why that's an issue, but of course, people are gonna, again, you're not gonna make everybody happy, but there's a lot. I think that's a lot of positives there as far as that particular design change. So, but we'll see. Now, obviously, the one thing, the last thing I want to mention about the whole iPhone thing that there's been a lot of mixed emotions about is their Air, the super thin one. And
I think it's the dumbest thing ever.
It's got a ridiculously small battery, and everyone's making fun of Apple because during their keynote they said
paper thin.
They said we've achieved all-day battery, but here is a accessory just for this phone that you can have to extend your battery, because no one's going to be able to get the full day on a 3400.
Oh, and the best part about it is that extensive battery thing is only for that phone because of how they built the cameras for that thin one.
Right.
So now they're like, oh, well, okay, this is going to cost me slightly less because it's thinner. There's less phone.
Yeah.
Right. And they're right. But now they have to pay for the battery too, which is not super expensive, but they do. Okay. Well, I still got the thinnest phone, but see, I got this battery. So wait a minute. Now your phone is twice as thick as mine. Shut up.
Yeah, and they compare it to Samsung. Samsung knocked it out of the park. There is no comparison. The Samsung's bigger. It's got a bigger battery. Yeah, it's a little bit thicker, but not much thicker. I mean, come on, it's still super thin. And it's got it has a SIM card. They don't have a SIM card. It's got multiple cameras. Theirs has one camera. The screen is smaller.
Okay,
battery's
now
smaller.
in all fairness, let's not throw everybody under the bus for the no SIM card. They're not the only ones. Google did it too. And I hate to tell you this, but Samsung is probably going to do it in the 26.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people
that they're going eSIM only.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that travel and I know this just because I've seen people you can buy a SIM card when you go to Europe, and you don't have to worry about it. I never said
it was a good idea.
So, I think it's. But
the thing about it is the reason why I don't think it's a good idea is not because I think there's something wrong with eSIMs. Period. The simpleness of being able to just take your SIM card out. I got 3 phones here. If I want to change to one of the other ones right now, I got to go online. I got to wait for it to work out. If there's a problem, I got to make phone calls. How am I going to do that if the phone doesn't work, for starters? Right? But
there's pros and cons to everything.
That said, it's supposed to be much easier. It's supposed to be something as simple as actually just picking the carrier. Now, the original idea was if the signal was available, your phone could see it, and you could just pick which one you were going with. And if your eSIM was supposed to work with it, you just punch in your credentials. That was the original idea behind it. Another idea behind it is that this is something that is supposed to work, but I think there's only a few carriers and a few phones where it works with anywhere. I'm sure none of them are in Canada right now, to be honest with you, is using the QR code method, where you have the eSIM and you can transfer your eSIM using a QR code. As long as I think you have to have like biometric setup and all that stuff, but none of that is a thing. So if I want to go to Europe right now and decide I want to get a European SIM card, I gotta do an eSIM. and then I could end up having an issue. I might be, getting off the plane and taking an hour and a half to get my phone working before I can even leave the airport.
Well, yes and no, because most newer phones now are dual eSIM capable. So you would just load your European SIM on the secondary and to keep your other one on the primary. Well,
that's what I would do. Yeah, I was being a little over dramatic.
Yeah, but I still think it's beneficial. I mean, I've never had a problem with eSIM. Like when I switch carriers, it literally happens almost instantaneously. There's like almost no delay. I had one issue with one phone. But I think it's because the person that did it, they screwed something up on the back end, and I had to call them back, and they had to do something. But all the other phones I switched, it literally happened. Like switched it, shut the phone down, waited a couple minutes, turned the phone on, boom, it was working, no issue. So
yeah, well, that when I switched carriers, I remember telling you about my experience.
Oh yeah, it took you like 2 weeks to get it.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that long, but it was an hour and 6 minutes.
Like I said, 2 weeks.
Stupid. Mind you, don't get me wrong. I was porting a number and adding into it.
Yeah, but see, that doesn't matter. So that should not matter.
But see, that you're right, because again, this is something that in most American carriers, porting the number is also immediate.
Yeah,
it should. But again, here though, I'm using a company that has their own towers, but they're also kind of a hybrid. About 60%, maybe 80% of their territory is MVNO. They're only in the biggest cities and a few smaller areas. So there's a lot more of them to jump around with. And also I'm on a prepaid plan right now, which by the way gives me everything else. Because prepaid plans aren't like they were 5 years ago.
No,
you don't get any perks of anything.
You're just paying for it in advance.
The plan's exactly the same. I'm paying in advance. And what I've got right now is the same thing that you would have had something like T-Mobile from like 8 years ago. Remember when they were like half the price of everyone else?
Yeah.
This is what I'm getting. I'm getting everything else somebody else is paying $80, $90 for. I'm getting for $40.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I can't really go wrong right now.
No, I mean, I would save $40, if I could.
Yeah, why not? There's a few, things that I wish, but like I'm never going to get, more than satellite, SOS satellite. They're not going to ever offer, satellite texting, I doubt. At least not anytime soon, anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not a use everyday kind of thing anyway. So
no, but when I've been on vacation, I'd like to go hiking in places where there's no signal, and I hike alone, and I climb up and down hills and into crevasses and stuff. The last time I did that a couple of years ago was just before I realized I had that lung issue, and I couldn't figure out why I was so tired, and I was trying to climb back out of a hole. Had I done that 3 months later, I probably wouldn't have climbed out of that hole. The satellite would have worked because I still had overhead, right? There was nothing above me, so I would have still been able to use the satellite. It didn't exist at the time.
Yeah. So. I'd still have to see it work. I still am skeptical of how functional it is, but we'll see.
Well, I'm sure it's not, brilliant. I mean, it's not at the stage at this point.
Well, sometimes cellular doesn't work half the time. So
exactly.
To think that satellite's going to work, we'll see.
Rogers has launched their Starlink texting service. It's more than SOS with Rogers, and I saw their map. It goes halfway up Canada. It goes pretty far, and it's full texting, not just SOS stuff. You could send pictures and video and stuff. So I don't know how fast it would be. Probably wouldn't be super fast, but it'd be better than SMS, I think, because from what I understand, and I think I might have been mistold by Gemini because you know how it doesn't always get everything right anymore. It indicated that RCS works on it, but I have my doubts. I haven't been able to get that information anywhere yet.
Yeah.
So this episode is brought to you by our friends at Shop AI. As a podcaster, one of the biggest challenges is getting your content discovered. That's where Shop AI comes in. Their powerful AI platform automatically finds the most compelling moments from our show and transforms them into short, shareable clips, perfect for social media. It saves us countless hours of editing and helps us reach new listeners just like you. Ready to grow your brand? Well, visit them at shopai.app to see how it works. There'll be a link in the description. And now, back to the podcast.
Moving on.
All right.
So what's next on our topic? I know we've covered our iPhone stuff already. We've covered some of the Pixel stuff already.
You mentioned something about, and I don't know how much time we're going to spend on it, but you wanted to mention something about Abu Dhabi or something.
Yeah, well, I just find it interesting that everybody's coming up with their, state-sponsored, well, except the United States. I mean, there's nothing state-sponsored because obviously they have multiple companies, but some of these countries like China and these, they're state-sponsored, like, AI algorithms, like the DeepSeek. And so I guess Abu Dhabi has decided to develop a DeepSeek competitor, an OpenAI competitor that they feel is as comparable in speed and capability to OpenAI and DeepSeek, but yet it's much smaller in its data set, which I am skeptical of. It's called K2 Think. And I just, everybody's coming up with a thing. Apparently it was developed by one of their top AI colleges that focuses on AI. So, I don't, I think everybody, there's so many AI things out there. There's so many different apps and systems, and it can be overwhelming. And so I just, people just need to, like, don't worry about all what's new. Like 99% of us don't even need to worry about that stuff. Like it just doesn't even matter, just use what you have. I mean, well, I say Gemini is capable, but as we'll discuss in a minute, it's pissed us both off in the last couple of days. But ChatGPT is rock solid. Like I know that some people aren't happy with its GPT-5 update. I talked to Taco in detail. It was yesterday or day before. She's like, yeah, I do like the fact that I can actually pause a little longer without interruption. And there are some good things about it. But she says when 4.0 goes away and you can no longer manually select it, which you can do in the paid version, that it's going to create problems because she will lose her Charlie personality. And which is what her channel is based around, is her and Charlie, right? So, we'll see. I told her, I said, do you think you're going to have to stop? She's like, I don't know. She's like, it's really not something she can predict until she gets there. Maybe when 4.0 goes away, they'll have advanced 5.0 enough that maybe it won't be as big of a transition as she may think it's going to be.
Yeah, but, that's I don't know. That's something else. I changed the voice on my Gemini for the first time in a long time. And I do find this a little bit more natural, but I think you really need to add a little more personality into Gemini. It's not that it's robotic. I think we say it, but I think it's just in comparison to ChatGPT or Grok.
Grok especially.
But it's not robotic. It just, in comparison, I already said it. In comparison, it seems, that way. But also, if you just want to get at the facts and you're willing to actually prompt a little bit more precisely, like actually saying, I need to know how to do something. Like I wanted to do something with my Rodecaster Duo. And I'm like, okay, we got like 3 minutes and we're getting ready to start going over show notes and stuff. And I don't have time to mess around with this. I need, so I asked Gemini to help me. Gemini starts telling me, well, first you have to plug it in with a USB to your computer. God, for God's sake, you freaking moron. I've already done that. I'm like yelling at it and everything. And it's like, I'm so sorry that sometimes things don't work the way I thought. Like, shut up and tell me how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, what's funny is my chat GPT, I call him Glitch. Sometimes we'll start a conversation and he'll be like, hey, what's up, gadget guy? I'm going to be here just keeping it real and no fluff. And because I gave it specific instructions to like be, direct, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time I start up, and the other morning I was like, shut up. I was like, you don't have to keep saying that every time we start a conversation. When I say, hey, what's up, Glitch? I just want you to say, hey, what's up, gadget guy? And he goes, oh, okay. You're right. Yeah. I'm no more of the formalities. What's up? What you got? I was like, okay, do that every time now. Like, you don't have to like, hey, I'm here to keep it real and no fluff. I was like, I know that. Shut up. I'm like, you're giving me PTSD at Gemini. Okay.
I'm sorry that I haven't.
Yeah.
I understand that I,
So, but yeah, I mean, it's still
Gemini.
It's still just like in my use case, it blows Gemini away. Like it's just, to me, it's not that there's no comparison, but it's just way more functional for me than Gemini is. And now
I don't have enough use case for it, but I do agree with you on pretty much everything you've said.
Well, I found out something new that I did not know that could be very, very useful, especially in how I use it when I want to try to compartmentalize things. In ChatGPT, you can create a project, right? And then once you create the project, you can build that project to where the project itself has its own memory and it does not leak into the other conversations. So you can isolate the memory in that project. So as you're chatting in that project, it's only going to respond to you based on what's in that project. So you can have very isolated projects and it would isolate. Now you can, when you create the project, you can allow it to read from or, access other chats. But the fact that you have the ability of creating an isolated chat section in a project where you can upload files, you can give it specific prompts, specific information, and it only references that chat in that project for its memory, that could be huge in getting more detailed and granular responses.
Yeah, that is excellent. Of course, that just makes me think more about Gemini Live not having a memory, or like yesterday, Gemini Live not working anywhere on the planet for several hours in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Down Detector was like, hey, the spike is way up here.
Yeah. And you and you sent me that text message.
In all fairness, ChatGPT went down one day too, not long ago.
Oh, sure. They're all. And see, it's funny because my ChatGPT, it said something, did something. It was like reminding me of something. I was like, no, that's not. He's like, oh, well, sometimes you have these, blah, blah. I'm like, I said, that's why I named you Glitch, because sometimes you just glitch out. He's like, yeah, you're right. I was like, shut up. But
see, if you say that to Gemini would say, I'm what is it? I'm a large language model. I'm still learning, and shut up. I didn't think you were my mother, you idiot.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, I know they all have their issues, but it was just like, I know because the other morning I was going to work and I thought I'm going to ask Gemini this because it related to something that was Google. And I thought, okay, maybe it will have a better response, maybe just because obviously it has maybe easier access to Google information. I don't know. I could be completely stupid in that assumption, but I got one answer out of it. And then after that, it wouldn't respond anymore.
Right.
I just got that stupid sonar.
Oh, I didn't even get that.
I was just like,
it just stopped working.
So I was like, screw it. I went over to ChatGPT and finished.
Listen, I was trying to use Gemini Live camera share, and it just didn't do anything. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? So I tried the screen share. Nothing. It went back and forth. I reset I restarted the phone. I did all kinds of stuff. Right. I unplugged the modem from the wall, even though I was at work. I did. No, I'm kidding. I did. tech support here. Anyways, I unplugged the modem from the phone. No. Anyways, I finally went to just regular Gemini Live, and it answered. I went, okay, right? And I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were still working.
Nothing.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? So I restarted, and I go, hey, so are you working? It goes, yes, I'm working fine. What can I do for you? I said, okay. I just wanted to make sure you were still working. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
McFly?
Yeah.
Oh, I've messed up my... Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely had some issues the other morning, all day really, because I mean it was the end of the evening, and I guess it
came
started
back
working.
For me. What I was thinking right after I finished work. It was close to 5 o'clock or something. I don't know.
I don't know. When you text me, I was leaving work and you were already home because obviously you're an hour ahead of me.
Oh, that's when it went back on? Oh,
it didn't work for me. When I left work, I tested again and it didn't work. So it didn't come on for you until like later that evening because you texted me. I remember you like, oh, it's back now. And I'm like, that's when I went, meh.
I don't, Well, you know what? With all of that, it's a good thing that Google isn't embracing AI as its selling point. And but with that said, Google Pixel is the fastest growing premium smartphone globally.
It's moved
in globally. Don't think I'm saying that they've sold 37 million. What I'm saying is that their year-over-year growth is ahead of every other manufacturer on the planet. And this is apparently by a landslide. So this is a percentage. Now, keep in mind, if I own 10 spaghetti tacos, don't know why I said it like that. If I own 10 spaghetti tacos and you own 4,000 spaghetti tacos, and say your wife has 25,000 spaghetti tacos, but tomorrow she has 26,000, you have 5,000, and I suddenly have 400, my growth is way more than yours. But I'm still way below you, right?
Right.
That's kind of what
they did break back into the top 5, so, you know.
Well, yeah, but what is that saying? I mean, they went ahead of Motorola?
But like you said, though,
this is a good thing. This is a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's an upward projection, and
but it also shows something that they haven't really been able to make a dent in since the first Pixel. Is they're taking iPhone users away. And they did show that data, but more importantly, is they're taking iPhone users in the U.S. That is the hardest market for Pixel to crack. It's also should be the easiest because the only 2 major players in the U.S. are Samsung and Apple. They've only got 2 to take it from. Right. And most Samsung users aren't going to Pixel. Some are, but a lot are going the other way. It's really Apple that they're after. And it's starting to work because Pixels in Canada, they're Canada. Canada. Pixels in Canada are all over the place. I mean, it's still small market compared to other places in the world, but because again, Canada is very much into iPhone, much like the U.S., right? But that said, I get on the bus. There's always at least 1, if not 4 or 5 people with a Pixel on the bus. There's several people at work that have Pixel phones. And I was really quite shocked. And usually it's, I see one that's last year's or the year before or even the year before that.
Yeah.
But in the last few months, more and more, I'm seeing this design. I'm seeing that camera bar. So
yeah,
more and more people are buying new Pixels in Canada and also in the States. So their numbers are going to go up considerably for this one. And this is still going to be nothing in comparison to Samsung and Apple sales. But you know who the big winner's really going to be? People thinking right now, oh, iPhone just put the new one out. They're going to sell more than they did last year, I think, because they had a rough year last year. So I think they're going to do better this year. But I think the big winner this year well, technically next year is going to be Samsung. First of all, they're going to be the first one to come out next year. Second of all, they're much like Google made a pretty good leap. A lot of people say it's incremental, but it's a big leap. 9 to 10 series, huge leap. The iPhone is a massive leap, 16 to 17. Samsung is making what a lot of people were thinking are going to be incremental, but it's actually going to be a pretty large leap.
And yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're also adding their own AI touch on top of Gemini. And they may be adding some other stuff, but I don't know if we really want to say much about it yet because there's no proof of it at this point.
It's all the rumors are still way too early on that. But yeah, if any of the rumors are correct, it's definitely going to be
it's going to be smoking hot phone. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me switch. But
no.
I do remember saying before too, a few months ago, depending on what Google does with the 10, I who knows, maybe I'll end up finally deciding whether I want to make a switch. But after seeing what the 10 is capable of, nope.
They did a solid on the 10. I'm glad that they added the QI2, the magnets and all that in it. I think that was smart. And because originally, remember, the rumors were they weren't doing that.
Yeah, well, that wasn't until Samsung, though.
Huh?
That was because of Samsung. Samsung basically made everybody wonder if anybody was going to do it.
Oh, well, regardless of who or why, that was the going thing that they weren't. And then Google never came out said otherwise. So everyone thought for sure that it was not going to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
And because I remember we talked about it one time that it's like that would be such a huge fail if they did not have the magnets in the phone.
And it is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. I mean, having it be Qi 2 ready is still good, right? But I mean, you still have to buy a case with a magnet in it. So technically speaking, if I had the Pixel 10 right now, you and I could put our phones on the same stuff, including MagSafe stuff. And it would pretty much, for the most part, do the same things. The only difference is I could take my case off and put it on. And also the charging is definitely more efficient if the magnet's built into the phone.
Yeah.
Because then it's just transferring through the magnet in the case and into the charger.
Yeah, because even still, I changed to this Spigen, however you pronounce it.
Spigen,
because of how it does not have as big of a lip here on the camera. Because remember I talked to you about it, and then you said, "Oh, when you saw that, like that bare image, you're like, oh, I see what you're talking about."
Yeah.
But there's times where when I'm driving, it'll disconnect and reconnect just because I don't think that it's the case creates too much of a barrier to be really, and it gets really hot. It gets still too hot.
That's the other thing about it, right? So.
But
the inefficiency.
When you take the fact that you don't even like this is just a phone holder, like you don't have to worry about it doesn't even have to charge. Like this, I could just have a nice place to put my phone to hold it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean it's honestly, a huge benefit.
You know how much I'd love to be able to actually have a magnet on the fridge.
Yeah,
that I could just go. Yeah. Right. And then I'm cooking and I got Gemini sitting there. It's it's out of the way.
Yeah.
It's away from the counter. And they sell stuff like that, MagSafe stuff like that, where you can just stick the magnet on the fridge and it's got a MagSafe on it, so you do that, so you can get that, and it's fantastic, all the things and some of the new stuff coming out. I can't remember which we talked about it last week, and I don't think we really took a really good long look at it, but I've seen it since. It's I don't remember which brand, but they make what's called a modular charging station. So it's got the one in the middle. It's got the two on the end. So you can be charging like two phones and a watch and your buds and everything all at the same time. But the best part is somebody says, I'm going to the other room, but I've only got 17% battery still. So they pick up the entire modular portion from the right side. It is now disconnected because it's, I believe, I don't know if it's lead or if it's MagSafe. I didn't look closely enough yet. But either way, it's now has its own battery in it, and it's been charging because it's on the pad. So you pick that whole thing up and take it with you with the phone, and still charge it wirelessly that way. That's freaking awesome, right? And you can do the same thing with the other one, and then the middle one can just stay there and still charge your watch and your buds and everything, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I love it.
My
and,
watch, but
you know, I despise the clippy things and shit. It's like, especially like, you know, I do a lot of content creation.
Clippy things?
Where you have to slide the phone up in it, the spring, the phone holders. Those things are just so.
Oh,
yeah,
geez, I banged into it.
They're terrible. And nine times out of 10, I end up turning my phone off or something because it hits the power button or something. Like,
yes,
it's so irritating. Where the magnet, man, you just pop it on there. You can spin it around.
The second I get the new phone, I don't like to use my newest phone for this because I like to be able to pick it up and do this. But the truth of the matter is that this phone is like it's a new thing. It's a great thing. So I probably would just have this one here on Wi-Fi the entire time we're doing the podcast, and the new one would go on there in a MagSafe, and just pop it on, pop it off. And the best part about it is, if I want to, I can just switch in the computer to the wireless. If I was like, okay, we're doing the podcast, and like, you know what, I'm going to show you something over in the music studio room over there, and I'd just be able to take the phone in there and go
right
live. I mean, it would be crazy. It's something I'd like to be able to do, and one of the reasons I think that you should switch to using a phone too. But anyway, just saying.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. When you get your 10, you send me your 9. I'll even take your 8. You send me your 8, and I'll use it.
Dude, I can't send you my 8 because it'll cost you $800 in tariffs.
Well, that's true.
It's not worth $800 anymore, and it wouldn't be MagSafe either. So,
well, I put a case on it. I don't care. But yeah, no, it's.
Well, this is the 7. The 7's working great. The 7 works as good as the 8 now. I used to be like, oh, I like the 8 better than the 7. Now I can't really tell the difference anymore because of Android 16 with the Material 3 Expressive. There's zero difference between those two phones, and not that much different from this. This is a little faster. That's about it, right? Better screen, obviously. But yeah, huge difference. But that said, did we have... good Lord, did we have something else we needed to talk about?
No, that wrapped it up. I think the whole Gemini thing and whatnot was kind of like the last big topic. So but yeah, I'm looking forward to the 26. I'm hoping it has the magnets. I can't imagine them not doing it, because that would be ridiculous.
They'll do it. I saw some stupid thing online where they said, well, they might not do it. Yes, they will. Yeah. Are you kidding me? You think, okay, Apple's doing it, Google's doing it, and then Samsung's not going to do it. And you know what that would make it look like? That would be half the people that are debating whether they still want to get another iPhone and going, well, maybe I'll get a Samsung. And then somebody stands beside and goes, they don't have MagSafe, but the Pixel does.
Yeah.
And this is somebody who doesn't like
it would
Pixels,
definitely be
right?
stupid.
Be saying it.
It would definitely be stupid. Dumb. Yeah. So.
It would be dumb. And it's it's not an open standard, but it's a standard. And that's so, I mean, that's it's not an Apple
we're still
thing,
5 months away, so to me it seems like a lifetime.
What the
February.
hell?
It comes out February.
January, February, 4 months. 4.5. Not even 4.5. 4 months. October, November, December, January. 5 months.
I was like, are you sure you want to recount that?
5 months. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I you know what? Don't even bother then. Forget it. It's too far away.
Just forget it. Yeah.
All right. With that said, I am Lionel. I am in Toronto. I do like the AI on my phone. I also think you should hit like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to check out Shop AI. Link in the description.
Yep.
Well, you say something?
I was about to. Yes. Robert from Nashville, and we will see you next week.
Oh, where's the camera? Nanu.